Traders, one of the most common goals is to become a full-time trader. This idea of having the time and the freedom to do whatever it is you want to do with your life is very appealing to many traders. But the truth is, many traders go full-time incorrectly and they end up becoming a slave to their trading. And really, when they look at it, they were better off in a full-time job than they were as a full-time trader. So what I want to do in this video is share with you from my own personal experience going full-time, and also from the experience of my clients and my students, how you can ensure the transition to becoming a full-time trader is successful, and you truly become a full-time trader and you have the time and the freedom to do what it is you love, and you don't become a slave to the markets, you don't become a slave to your trading. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, one of the most common traps that traders fall into, and when I ask a trader comes to me and says, I want to become a full-time trader, the question I ask them back is, what are the drawbacks or the risks of being a full-time trader? And a lot of them shake their head and say, there are no drawbacks and risks of being a full-time trader. And there are drawbacks and risks to everything. Everything has both benefit and drawback, advantage and disadvantage. But a trader is currently in a 9-to-5 job, and they're hating it, they're resenting it. And as a result, what they're doing, because they're aware of their 9-to-5 job here, and they're consciously aware of the drawbacks, they're unconscious of the benefits of their 9-to-5 job, what they're doing is they're creating this fantasy in their mind about being a full-time trader, full-time funded trader, and in their mind, they're conscious of the benefits, they're unconscious of the drawbacks. And typically this idea is sold to them through marketing, through a trading education company that wants to sell something, and they promote this idea, they promote this fantasy of this glorious life as a full-time trader. We have the freedom, the time and the space freedom to do what it is when you want and have all this income coming in with an hour or two a day of work. And when this idea gets promoted, or this fantasy gets promoted in their mind, what happens is they become infatuated with this idea of being a full-time trader, and as a result, by law of contrast, because they're not there yet, they resent their current reality as working 9-to-5. And the truth is, this is an incomplete idea. Being a full-time trader has real risks and real drawbacks that you have to become aware of. And the truth is, your 9-to-5 job currently has true benefits that it's providing to you that if you were to leave that, you would become vulnerable to. So it's important to become aware of those things and recognize that if you do transition from 9-to-5 work to full-time trading, you will be losing certain benefits and advantages that you need to put alternative strategies to continue to get. So let's get really straight into it. But this is a very common trap that traders fall into. They become infatuated with the idea, the fantasy in their mind of being a full-time trader. The reality of it's very, very different. And as a result of becoming infatuated with this fantasy, this idea of being a full-time trader that has only benefits, which isn't real, they then, by law of contrast, resent their current reality, which is usually their 9-to-5 work, or work that is more labor intensive, or work that takes longer amount of time to get a paycheck. But the reality is that 9-to-5 job has a lot of stability and it produces an income that's very, very important. Okay, so one of the most important exercises I get my traders in the 12-week program to do before they go full-time. Now, I still encourage traders to work towards that goal of being a full-time trader, because ultimately you come into the game to be, to be independent financially, and that's a great place to be. But what I'm trying to say here is that if you go into becoming a full-time trader thinking that it's going to be all benefit and all positive in this fantasy land where you can make money very easily and very quickly, and the way to do that is to hate and resent your job and to leave it straight away and then try and escape to this fantasy, you're going to be awoken to a reality when you do make that transition that you weren't expecting, and you're going to get slapped by all the drawbacks and all the risks that you weren't expecting. And you're probably going to look back and be like, shit, I really need a job back, and I should have been more grateful for my job because that was actually providing a lot of things to me. Okay, so the way I promote transitioning to full-time trading is in a wise manner, not resenting your current job, but starting to see some of the benefits of your current 9-to-5 job, and then leveling yourself, getting back to that state of equilibrium, and then finding some of the drawbacks of being a full-time trader. So you transition out of a 9-to-5 job into full-time trading in a more balanced state, recognizing the benefits of your job and the drawbacks of full-time trading, and having more of a smooth transition, as opposed to this idea of, I hate my 9-to-5 job, I want to escape it, and I'm trying to seek this fantasy land which doesn't really exist. And then you're going to have a rude awakening if you do make that transition. One of the very important exercises to do is ask yourself, what are the drawbacks of being a full-time trader? And what are the benefits of your current 9-to-5 job? And I'm going to give you some of those answers now so we can frame some principles that you can implement to help this transition. And I've seen this over and over in my own life and in my clients' and students' lives, one of the real drawbacks of being a full-time trader is that you're dependent on your own skill as a trader, and you're dependent on the market for income. And one of the real drawbacks with that is you may not be able to perform as well that month or that week or that year. And the market may not present opportunities that month or that week or that year according to the style you trade. So one of the real drawbacks of being a full-time trader is that you can have a shortage or a stop in income, and income is just not producing that week or that month or that year. Okay, that's one of the real drawbacks. And one of the real benefits of working a 9-to-5 job is your security and income. And a lot of traders don't really stop and think about that before they make the transition. And it's one of the most important considerations, really. And another drawback of being a full-time trader is because of this stop in income, or if there is a shortage in income and there's this lack of security in income, there's greater levels of stress and anxiety and fear that is introduced into your life. And really, when you work your 9-to-5 job, because of that security, you don't really feel that level of stress, that anxiety, or that fear. And that's one of the benefits of working a 9-to-5 job. And another benefit of working a 9-to-5 job is you feel part of a community, and you have this social aspect, and you a lot of the times feel like you belong to some sort of a community, and you have social interactions day to day. And when you're a full-time trader, you really have no social interaction if you're not part of a community. Okay. Another one of the benefits of working a 9-to-5 job, and one of the drawbacks of being a full-time trader is, or rather one of the drawbacks of being a full-time trader is that you don't have any accountability and you're your own boss. And what I mean by that is you have an empty schedule for the day, and you can fill that with whatever you want. And if you're not self-accountable and you don't have goals and you don't have a focus, you can fall into some poor habits when you have all that time. And you can stay at the chart, and you can overtrade, and you can think that trading more is going to bring you more income, and tie that with the stress, this anxiety of income isn't being produced this month. Then you can fall into some poor trading habits like overtrading and trading in outcome-based thinking, trying to pull money out the market because you need to pay bills now. And one of the benefits that traders don't really pay attention to in the 9-to-5 is that because they have to be in a certain place at a certain time, and because they have this accountability, they tend to be more efficient and effective, and they tend to do some planning and preparing and set alerts. And then when they do have 30 minutes or an hour to backtest after work, they're very efficient with that, and they find the answers they need to very quickly. So there's accountability, there's positive accountability when you're working 9-to-5, and that's taken away when you are a full-time trader. You need to bring that accountability in, okay? So what I'm doing here is I'm helping reestablish this dynamic and recognizing, all right, there are real risks of being a full-time trader that you need to be aware of. Now, I'm not trying to convince you not to become a full-time trader, but I'm trying to awaken you to this idea that being a full-time trader has risks that you need to be aware of. And before this video, you probably weren't paying attention to these. You're probably just paying attention to how good being a full-time trader is and how much freedom you can have. And the truth is, if you don't focus on these things here, then what you think is going to give you freedom becomes the constraint. And now you're constrained to the market and a slave to the market because you have to make income. And the dynamic shifts very, very quickly. So the first step here is you need to rebalance your perception and recognize that your job has both benefits and drawbacks. And you want to be aware of those. And you want to recognize that being a full-time trader has both benefits and drawbacks. You want to be aware of those in equal degree. Okay, that's the first step. The second step here is if you're still adamant on transitioning to being a full-time trader, recognize there are intermediary steps before that. Don't just go from being a full-time worker to being a full-time trader, because that transition may be too transition may be too aggressive. Transition from full-time work to part-time work, and have some hours taken away from your work so you can test being a full-time trader, or take a week off or a month off from work and live the lifestyle of a full-time trader. Use your leave or use your sick leave or whatever it may be for you if you have that opportunity, and test the lifestyle of being a full-time trader. You may realize it's not really what you thought it was cut out to be, and something that you don't really want to do because you have all this time and frankly you're bored most of the time. And this is a really great option for most traders. Instead of going straight from full-time work to full-time trading, transition to part-time work, part-time trading, and have that little bit of extra time to trade, especially on Thursday, Fridays when the markets tend to get a little bit busier and there's more liquidity in the market. You can then trial being a full-time trader on those days and then work the other days. So you still have some security and income, but you have more time to focus on your trading and developing that and testing this idea of being a full-time trader. That could be a great option for traders. Now, if you're still adamant on transitioning to being a full-time trader because that's just a vision, that's a goal for you, great. I still encourage it, I still endorse it, but doing it wisely. And the way you transition from full-time work to full-time trading wisely is by firstly becoming aware of all the drawbacks of being a full-time trader, the ones you're listing here, and keep listing them until you're certain that the drawbacks equal the benefits to being a full-time trader. And then take each of the drawbacks and plan contingencies for them. The drawbacks and risks, and plan contingencies. And plan processes to manage these. So for example, one of the drawbacks and risks of being a full-time trader is that you may not have any income coming in for a whole month or a couple months or 3 months. So that's a real risk and a real drawback, not being able to pay your bills, not being able to pay, cover whatever expenditure you have. So how can you plan and prepare for that in advance so if that does happen, you're prepared for it? Okay, and one of the best things you can do is you can have a 6-month cash cushion. So you can, while you're working full-time or part-time, you can use that to stash cash in the bank. So at least you have a little bit of a security blanket if income stops coming in through the market, whether the market goes into a different condition or you get sick or you have something happen to you that you can't trade, or just the market isn't providing the type of setups that it usually provides. At least you have cash in the bank to cover your income and to cover your expenses so that, if you need to pay bills for a month, you can through your cash savings, and then you can rebuild that through your trading income through payouts. Okay? Or for example, imagine if you're full-time in an unforeseen circumstance like a prop firm going down, you're heavily relying on that prop firm and you don't have income for that month or for that next 2 or 3 months while you rebuild your accounts with different prop firms. You have to be prepared. Cash savings is one of the wisest things you can do to help facilitate the transition from full-time work to full-time trading. Okay? Then you want to go to the next drawback. What's another drawback? Well, I'm not going to have any social interaction, and I don't have my typical work pals that I socialize with day to day. And you may realize that tends to become very lonely, and as human beings, we crave this social interaction. So you need to put a contingency or something in place to manage that. And maybe you do something else. Maybe you structure time with your friends every week, or you go to a cafe, or you go to an environment where it's very social, and you can spend a little bit of time in there so you get at least a little bit of social interaction. Or you may take up a social sport, I don't know, go to the gym or something like that to facilitate those social interactions for you, okay? Or you may dedicate some time with your boyfriend or girlfriend or your spouse, and you may make sure that you've structured that time in so you get that social interaction. Okay, so my point here is you want to become aware of the drawbacks and the risks in advance, and you want to plan contingencies for them. So if they do happen, at least you're prepared. Now, no accountability. The next one that's very, very important is a routine when you're a full-time trader. Making sure you still get up, you have a shower, you change into clothes, and you dress up like you would for work, and you have a structure to your day, and you have your calendar, your checklist, and you're holding yourself accountable to high priority actions to get towards your goal. Because the last thing you want is to think that just because you're a full-time trader, you've made it, and then you stop doing the things that got you there in the first place, and you realize 3 months later you have no income coming in and you can't sustain the lifestyle. And then you also want to make sure that you set your own KPIs and you review your performance every week, and you're checking, am I hitting the KPIs? Am I doing the work, the high priority actions that are proven to get me the results? And am I accountable to my own actions? It's very important when you work for yourself, when you're a full-time trader. Okay, so rebalance your perception towards full-time trading. Recognize the drawbacks in it. You're already aware of the benefits. You need to make yourself aware of the drawbacks in equal degree. And you're already aware of the drawbacks of your 9-to-5 job. You hate it, so to speak. Now, if you're going to work it anyway, you may as well be grateful for it for the next 6 to 12 months while you learn to become a great trader and then make that transition to full-time trading. So if you're working it anyway, shift your perception towards it so you're not resentful to it. Recognize that it's just an intermediary step while you still study and you develop your trading, and it's helping you build your cash cushion. It's helping you pay for the education to become a better trader, and it's helping you make that transition smoothly to full-time trading. Okay? Number two, consider part-time work before you transition all the way to no work. And then number 3, plan contingencies for the drawbacks and the risks you've identified here and prepare for them. Okay? And then the 4th step when you're a full-time trader, utilize your extra time wisely. You'll have extra time, and utilize that wisely. My suggestion is don't try and trade more, because you're typically just going to overtrade. You can utilize that time to develop other strategies. You can use that time to test additional refinements to your strategy. You can use that time to optimize your strategy and your trading. I think this is a really good one to develop another trading strategy. Maybe if you're more of an active day trader, you can develop more of a swing style trading system. If you're very heavily focused in one market, you look to diversify to other markets. Okay, you can look into investments, other investment vehicles, income producing assets. Okay, and another great place to put your time is into additional sources of income, other businesses you can develop. For example, taking the skills that you have and the things you love and looking to monetize those to develop a positive sum service-based business that you can use to help other people. You can do what you love. You can generate income from that. That's a great use of your time when you're trading full-time. Okay, the extra time you get, because that also helps you generate income, cover your bills, cover your expenses, so you don't push your trading into outcome-based thinking, and you can stick to the process. And really, that's an additional thing I would love to elaborate on, is that really the focus when you become a full-time trader is you need to make sure that you're adhering to your proven processes and you're staying process-based, right? You're still in process-based thinking, and you're not getting caught up in this outcome-based thing of I have to make money now, because that's going to push your trading into outcome-based thinking. You're going to introduce bias into your trading. You're going to introduce stress into your trading, and you'll probably spiral out. So everything I've covered in this video, in this lecture, is helping you stay process-based thinking to ensure that you can consistently execute your trading plan and have consistent results as a result. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. If it was useful, share this video with your trading community. If you haven't already, make sure you check out the Trading Psychology Archetype Quiz. That's a game changer in terms of helping you understand which of the 4 trading mindsets you have. And it's going to give you a free personalized report based on which trading mindset you have to take you from where you are to consistently profitable. So you can have funding, you can scale up with funding, you can become a full-time trader, all these goals that you have. Okay? Thank you for watching to the end, and I look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow.